of the Rastafari have long served as teachers in our schools and as key members of our farming community. Now they serve as senators in our parliament and in our diplomatic service, including with the rank of ambassador. Mr. President, the actions of the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda gives meaning and substance to the Inter-American Democratic Charter, which in its proper application underscores the important values for which we stand as a community of nations in the Americas. The measures that have been taken are consistent with Article 9 of the Charter, which commits us all to the elimination of all forms of discrimination, especially gender, ethnic and racial discrimination, as well as diverse forms of intolerance, the promotion and protection of human rights of indigenous peoples and migrants, and respect for ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity in the Americas, contributing to strengthening democracy and to citizen participation. Mr. President, members of this Council, Antigua and Barbuda is proud of this historic action. I am pleased to have with me today a Rastafarian member of our diplomatic corps, Ambassador Franklin Francis, Ras Frankai Tafari, to identify him properly. He's also a leading representative of the Rastafari throughout the Caribbean, having received the highest honors of the community. And with your permission, Mr. President, I would like to ask Ambassador Frankai Tafari to address this Council, and by doing so, to create history. He will be the first member of the Rastafari community to speak to such a high-level representative body of the nations of the Americas. And if I may, I will invite him to speak. Thank you.
Adelante, por favor.
Please do.
Franklin Francis.
Good morning to the distinguished delegates, and greetings in the name of Haile Selassie I, acknowledged as the divine inspiration of the Rastafari nation. I convey the thanks and appreciation of the Rastafari nation for the historic opportunity to address this august hemispheric body, the Organization of American States, on such an important issue as human rights and justice, which we believe should be of concern to the nations and peoples of the world. The Rastafari nation commends and thanks the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the Honorable Prime Minister Gaston Brown for his unique, sincere, and heartfelt apology to Rastafari for repair and redress for the atrocities inflicted on Rastafari for their acknowledged utilization of cannabis and their strong stance in defense of the oppressed and downtrodden minorities in our hemisphere and indeed in the world. This apology comes on the heels of previous token allowances to the Rastafari community, including the admission of dreadlocks youth into the educational institutions in Antigua and Barbuda, and the cessation of the trimming of the dreadlocks covenant of incarcerated Rastafari brethren and sistren. The Rastafari nation has long expressed our advocacy for the rights of Africans the world over, and our advocacy for the use of cannabis as a human rights issue, and view the prohibition of cannabis and the persecution of Africans through the immoral crime against humanity that was chattel slavery as contrary to United Nations Declaration on Human Rights as enshrined in the United Nations Charter and other conventions, including those in the OAS. The apology and declared intention for repair and redress is thus seen in the context of the call for reparatory justice for slavery and colonial oppression, expressed by the establishment of the CARICOM Reparations Commission and voiced by other Africans in the diaspora and on the continent. This call gains added significance, coming as it does in the United Nations declared International Decade for People of African Descent, 2015 to 2024. We express the hope that the call for reparations will see a recognition of Rastafari sacramental use of the herb cannabis and involvement and inclusion in the material benefits to be derived from proper utilization of cannabis. Further, that repair and redress will involve assistance to the formerly disadvantaged Rastafari and African communities, and for the Rastafari inclusion in the civil society, community, and societal deliberations on developmental and other issues of concern to all oppressed peoples. Noting that Rastafari and African peoples are situated throughout the nations of the Americas, it is our hope and fervent prayer that the call for reparatory justice will be heeded not only by other Caribbean leaders, but by other hemispheric leaders and the entire international community. To the distinguished delegates of the 34 nations of the Americas represented here, I give my heartfelt thanks for the honor of addressing you. Thank you, sir.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I simply wanted to thank you for allowing my delegation and my country to make history today under your distinguished presidency. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for your initiative and for being here and for taking part in this very important forum to address a very important issue of identity in our continent. Venezuela has the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The delegation of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela happily greets this historic...
Okay, that is where we cut it. You were just listening to a webcast, a live webcast by the Organization of American States. We here at Point FM, we had to bring that one to you live. This is with regard to the historic report to the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States, the meeting which is being held today, as you have just heard, our ambassador to the U.S.